Picture this. Two people walk into a room. One slips in quietly, hoping to go unnoticed. The other moves like they belong there, like the air gives way for them to exist. They're not the loudest, they're not even trying, but somehow everyone can feel their presence. We all know someone like that. The person who speaks with ease, stands tall without effort, and seems to handle challenges like they're just part of the journey. And you might have wondered, were they born that way? Why do some people seem to exude confidence without even trying, while others wrestle with self-doubt? Is confidence something you either have or don't? Or is there something deeper happening beneath the surface? Welcome to MindShift, where we explore the inner mechanics of the human mind, behavior, and emotional world. Today's topic: what makes some people naturally confident, and what that reveals about you, too. We often think of confidence as something loud, something bold, flashy, charismatic. But real confidence? It's quieter than that. It's less about how much you speak and more about how much you trust yourself when you're silent. One of the biggest misunderstandings about confidence is that it's all about personality. We think confident people are extroverts or natural leaders, people born with thick skin and sharp edges. But confidence isn't just in the genes. It's in the story we tell ourselves. In fact, confident people aren't always the smartest or the most talented. They're just the ones who've learned to stop arguing with their potential. Let's start from the beginning. A lot of natural confidence comes from early life experiences. Not just success, but support. Kids who grow up in environments where they're encouraged to try new things, without being punished for failing, tend to build a mental template that says, it's okay to fall, because I can get back up. And that mindset sticks. Even into adulthood, they don't fear embarrassment, because they've learned that discomfort doesn't kill you, it grows you. But here's the flip side. Some people look confident, but inside, they're battling just as much self-doubt as everyone else. That's something psychologists call compensatory confidence, a fake-it-till-you-make-it form of self-assurance. And guess what? Faking it actually works, to an extent. There's research showing that simply acting brave can trigger the same brain activity as being brave. But what separates real, quiet confidence from performative confidence is this: security in uncertainty. Confident people don't always know what's going to happen next. They just trust themselves enough to think, whatever it is, I'll handle it. That's not arrogance, that's self-trust. But let's be real for a second. Sometimes, insecure people label confident people as lucky, as if they were handed a cheat code at birth. But the truth is, confidence is a behavior, not a gift. It's a pattern, a belief reinforced through experience, supported by brain chemistry. Here's a quick and kind of mind-blowing fact. When you're confident, your brain releases more serotonin, the chemical that regulates mood and social behavior. People with higher serotonin levels tend to assume leadership roles, naturally. In fact, in a wild experiment, researchers injected lobsters with serotonin, and suddenly they started acting like alpha lobsters, standing taller, claiming territory, initiating battles. So next time you see someone who seems naturally self-assured, you can call them out and say, "You've got lobster energy." But confidence isn't just body language or serotonin. It's also interpretation. How someone interprets their failures, their doubts, their fears, that's what makes the difference. Let's talk about the inner critic for a second. You know that voice, the one that tells you you're not enough, that someone else is better, that it's too risky to try. Most of us believe the inner critic is trying to protect us. But really? It's just replaying old scripts from the past, echoes of what we feared, what we experienced, what others told us. Confident people hear that voice too, but they've learned to recognize it as noise, not truth.
And speaking of truth, here's a funny historical story. In ancient Greece, there was a philosopher named Diogenes who was absolutely fed up with people pretending to be more confident than they were. One day, as a joke, he walked into the marketplace while eating raw onions like apples, just to prove how ridiculous confidence games had become. The crowd was confused. Some laughed, some admired him, and some were honestly just disgusted. When someone asked him, "Why would you embarrass yourself like this?" he replied, "I embarrass myself now, so I won't fear it later." And, while you don't need to eat onions in public to find your confidence, that level of inner freedom, that's what real confidence feels like. It's not about impressing others, it's about not needing to.
Here's something fascinating that psychology has uncovered. People who are naturally confident don't just focus on what they're good at, they also accept what they're not good at. They don't need to be perfect to feel worthy. They've learned that it's okay not to know everything. It's okay to mess up, because mistakes don't define them, they refine them. One of the most important pieces of confidence is something called psychological flexibility. It's the ability to stay open, curious, and adaptive even when things don't go your way. Flexible people don't crumble under pressure. They bend, they stretch, they learn. And in a world that's constantly changing, flexibility beats certainty every time. Confidence is also deeply connected to emotional regulation. People who can stay calm in stressful situations seem more confident, not because they never feel stress, but because they've learned how to manage it. They breathe, they think, they don't explode, and the world reads that as strength. There's also something very subtle at play: micro-behavior. Confident people make eye contact, they speak slowly, they listen more than they interrupt. Their posture is open, not tense. They don't shrink themselves to make others comfortable, not because they're trying to dominate, but because they've internalized their right to exist in any room. And here's a fun scientific twist. Studies show that people who use more expansive body language, arms wide, shoulders back, chin up, actually increase their testosterone levels and lower their cortisol, the stress hormone. This is known as the power pose effect, and even though one study tried to debunk it, follow-ups suggest it still does something special to your nervous system. That means that standing like a superhero doesn't just look confident, it actually makes you feel more capable. But here's something even more powerful. True confidence isn't built in the mirror, it's built in solitude. When you learn to trust yourself, your intuition, your resilience, your values, you stop trying to prove yourself to others. You start moving from a place of self-ownership. Confidence doesn't mean never doubting. It means deciding that doubt isn't the final answer. It's looking at fear and saying, "I hear you, but I'm moving forward anyway." Ultimately, people who seem naturally confident have learned something essential: that confidence isn't a feeling you wait for, it's a choice you make again and again. In small moments, in uncertain moments, even when you're shaking on the inside. And maybe, just maybe, the ones who seem born with it weren't born confident at all. They just got tired of waiting for approval and chose to approve of themselves first. So the next time you look at someone and think, "Wow, they've got it all together," pause for a second. Not to compare, but to remember that confidence is not a competition. It's a relationship with you. One built not by perfection, but by showing up imperfectly with courage. You don't need to feel confident to be confident. Sometimes, you just need to start walking until your self-belief catches up. Thanks for watching MindShift.